Line's good.
Never on.
Whoa.
Hard. Hard, Lisa.
Come on, Brent.
Line's good.
Got real close.
The hair high, right?
Try and hit 2/3.
Have they saved it for her? Yes, they have.
Ooh, welcome to Game of Stones, everybody. I am Sean Graham Scott, socially distancing as always. Hello, Scott.
Hey, Sean.
How you doing?
I'm okay. My wrist is kind of sore because I don't have a very good ergonomic setup here at the home front, and I actually did some working today. So
Wow.
I'm like, oh boy, man, gotta figure something out. So yeah.
Yeah, one day in, and you're getting the you're gonna have to go on some sort of leave here.
I might have to. Like, my neck's been really sore too because all I have to work on is my phone.
Okay.
And so I'm doing like some on my computer and some on my phone, and so I've been like looking down at a phone.
Yikes. It's not
for
good.
a long time, like longer than I would like to.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, yeesh.
So tough sledding out there, buddy.
Yeah,
but
it's a real Everest.
Yeah, really is. Not all heroes wear capes, as we know.
Yeah.
So and what is a very dark day out there in the nation's capital. It was bright and sunny this morning. Now looking kind of dark out there, Scott.
Yeah, I got a couple days of rain coming up. Looking at the old forecast, so it should be pretty fun.
Yeah. So we are back, of course, continuing to talk curling in the midst of all the goings on. And Scott, I texted you earlier today, and I said I had an idea for a show, but I didn't want to tell you about it.
Yeah, you said, Scott, you'll either love it or hate it, and a live reaction will be better than knowing beforehand. So I say less work for me. I'm always in for those pods.
Yeah. So what I've done here, I was thinking today, what could we do to be a little fun? Talk about curling, and then because I was watching some of the stuff that came in, the YouTube stuff that we talked about, and shout out to Ryan from Rocks Across the Pond. He sent us a spreadsheet of games to read or to watch as well.
Yeah, the Pacific Asia games. There's
Yeah.
a big Google sheet of them, so I guess we can share that, eh? We can.
Oh, we should probably ask him, but.
Well, maybe we can put those games together with the games that we talked about and share that sort of as a link.
Yeah, we can link that out there on Twitter. So I was watching a couple of those games, Scott, and I got to thinking there's a lot of words in curling that are very specific. Right? There's a lot of curling terminology, and I thought it would be good for us to go through some of those terms. And in addition to not only explaining what they are, I've come up with what I believe to be accurate alternative definitions for some of the curling terms that are used quite commonly.
Oh, all right. I like this.
Yeah. Now, the girls on their podcast do dirty curling terms. This is not that because I'm keeping it clean, 100% clean here.
Yeah, we're keeping it clean. Good.
PG,
family audience.
That's their domain. They do it better than we could do it.
Absolutely.
But I was just thinking, I've maybe some of the terms aren't quite as apt as perhaps they could be.
Oh, okay. So you're going to suggest alternative terms?
Well, alternative definitions for the terms.
All right.
Yeah. So Scott, I'll say a term. I want you to explain what it actually means, and then I will provide an alternative definition.
Okay, cool.
So the first term that I have identified here is board.
Board. Okay.
Yeah.
So board weight is a weight for a shot that is called. When the skip tells you throw board weight, my interpretation is that the stone you make contact with should be able to get to the backboard behind the hack.
Yes. Now this is independent of this, but I believe it was Jeff Salmons on Facebook messaged us a while back that there's different definitions of this. That for some people they refer to board as the weight that would cause a stone that you hit to get to the board.
Yeah, that's what I just said.
As opposed to the stone you throw.
Yeah.
I'm on the stone you throw side.
The stone you throw should reach the backboard.
Yeah, it should like stop right at the backboard.
Yeah, okay. I mean, that's pretty close. Like,
And then to remove a stone to get it to the board, that would be heavy board.
okay.
Yeah.
Good.
um,
So that's heavy board.
Yeah, if the stone gets there. I did not know that this debate existed.
Oh, yeah. I've heard this before. And the way that I learned first was that, say you're hitting a rock on an angle, you want it to get to the sideboard.
Okay.
So whatever weight you have to throw, given that you're hitting it, say, half a rock, however hard you need to do that to get it to the board.
But that's inconsistent.
Exactly. Yeah.
But if you're calling board weight, you want to know like basically how fast it is coming, so the skip can call a line.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. So
I like the definition that we've come to since then.
Okay. So board. Yeah. So that is the traditional use of the term board. I think, Scott, it would be more effectively used in the curling sense. All these are curling related, by the way. So board, a term describing the other 6 players on the ice when the skip and third have an unnecessarily long discussion. Board.
How did I know that you were going to talk about long discussions by the back end?
Yeah, that may not be the only time that comes
Right.
up. So that's the first one. Now related on the second one I have here, hack.
All right. In similar fashion to the board, you throw it so that the thrown rock would come to rest at the hack.
Right. It's also the physical device, right? Like it could be the noun of this is the hack.
Oh, right. So, yeah, the hack is the insets into the ice where the player pushes to make their delivery.
Yes. So that is, of course, the definition of what a hack is. Now, Scott, an alternative definition that I think might be more apt is what you call your skip when he goes to the bar to buy the second round after he missed all his shots and blamed it on the sweepers. Hack.
Hack.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. Buckle in. That's what all of these are. So hack. I could be creative with that one. All right. Moving down my list here. The next one is bonspiel. Bonspiel.
A big an event where multiple teams compete in a series of curling games to win something at the end.
Okay. That is, we've been to many of them, Scott.
Been there.
Yeah. I think perhaps a better way to use that term would be to describe a bonspiel as a very good, extravagant post-game talk. A bonspiel.
A bonspiel.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
It's a bit of a thinker.
Say bon.
So next up on my list here, house. The term house.
House, as it relates to curling, the concentric circles that are placed on the ice that determine who scores points.
Yeah. Now, one question I actually do have about this, not just the term house, but actual houses. Scott, do you have a preference on colors of houses?
Yeah, I do. I like blue, red, and white.
Okay. So anything
if there's anything different, I don't love how they do it at the Grand Slams. I don't love one of the provincials either this year or last year had some crazy design. I'm not that into that.
Yeah,
pretty traditional.
I think it was Nova Scotia this year, at least where the women's were when we were watching that game between Marianne Arsenault and Colleen Jones. That because it was in a club, the club had some advertising on it. So It was like a big circular advertisement, which was kind of distracting because you can't really see the lines of the circles.
Yeah, I'm a purist when it comes to the hacks.
Okay. Or the houses even.
Oh, and that too. Yeah, I don't like those removable hacks that you can. Anyway.
Yeah, they're not great. Too, what's weird, I see them on the boards. I don't know how they're used. maybe because I've never really been to a clinic, but they're like boards that they look like they're about 4 feet, and they have hacks on either side. And it almost looks like you put it in the middle and you could have 2 sort of short games for juniors or something, but I'm always confused as to how that thing stays in place whenever I see it.
Yeah, good question.
Yeah.
I think when I worked at North Alton, sometimes I would ice the hack in.
Okay.
The second hack. I would just, freeze it with some water
Yeah, that makes sense.
around it and then scrape it down after.
Okay. Interesting. So anyway, so house. So we got onto this because of houses. House. So
Right.
yes, of course, it is the circles at the end of the sheet. I think an alternative definition, Scott, that could work is a place where only invited guests are welcome. Otherwise, get the hell out.
Yes. Very good.
Yeah.
You don't want to be standing too close to somebody's house either if you're not invited, so
No.
stay far away.
No. And certainly do not throw stones.
Exactly.
Yeah. So next up, Scott, this is a bit of a regional term that I know is not used everywhere, but certainly I've heard it, and I know you have as well. Vice.
Yeah, vice. A regional term for the third player.
So, Scott, I know some people wonder why it is vice, the term vice. Like, where does that come from?
Yeah, the term vice for a third.
Yeah.
It's because they're referred to as the vice skip. So, you know how you have the president and the vice president. You have the skip and you have the vice skip.
Right.
So that's where it comes from.
Okay. So a potential alternative definition, especially because this is a regional term, that I came up with is it's the position you really want, even though you know it's bad for you.
Oh.
Yeah.
Because it's a vice.
It's a vice, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, I said they would all be along this line.
Boom.
All right.
That's great.
Thank you. Next up, we have the gripper. The gripper.
The gripper.
Yeah.
This is a thing that you put on your sliding foot so that you can keep your balance and walk around when you're not throwing the rock. This is also referred to in some circles as a rubber. However, I think you could listen to the Girls in a Game podcast to hear about that.
Yeah, I think we're starting to venture into their territory with that one.
Not going to infringe.
No. Scott, a potential alternative definition, though, for gripper is the player who routinely is guilty of hogline violations.
Yeah. They're holding on too long.
Yeah. Now, related note, hogline.
Hogline, yeah. The hogline is the line before which you must release your stone when being delivered, and beyond which your stone must come to rest.
Yes. Do you know why it's called the hogline?
I don't know.
Okay.
I think I looked it up once, but I can't remember.
Yeah, and clearly it was a very interesting explanation, though.
Yeah, I got a lot of stuff in my brain.
So instead of that, though, Scott, I came up with the skip's justification for wanting to throw all the rocks during practice.
Okay.
Oh, really? I was proud of that one. I thought that one was actually pretty good.
Because they're hogging.
It's the line that they use to hog everything.
Yeah, they sure do.
All right, fine. I thought that one was good. Apparently it wasn't. Okay.
It was all right.
Okay, fine. All right. Guard.
Guard. Any stone that comes to rest beyond the hog line, but before the house.
And that's accurate in the game, but it's also, Scott, the person you appoint to look after your chair during a bonspiel.
Of course. And in cases where you can't bring your beer on the ice, your beer too.
Yeah. It's always good, if you're in a bonspiel, then you can have 5 people. It is a real advantage if liquor licenses are such that you can't take drinks on the ice.
Big time.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah. It's huge. Although, I mean, if you're in like a 5-sheeter and you're on the middle sheet, having drinks behind the glass isn't that helpful either.
It really isn't. You got to keep them kind of on on the fringes.
Yeah. So the next one's got double.
A double.
Yeah.
Oh, I can think of a couple curling definitions for this, but typically that's when you throw a takeout that removes 2 stones from play rather than just one.
Yes. What's the other one?
Oh, I getting a double drink after when you've had a really bad game.
Yeah.
Get a
So
double.
so that's what I have. So double, what you make your opponent buy you when they're jerks.
Yeah. Make it a double.
Go top shelf too.
Yeah. And then when it's your turn to buy, domestic beer only.
Yes. Obviously. So next up, Scott, I have the slider. I guess I should have done this with gripper, but I ordered them differently. Slider.
Yeah, you got it. Slider. The thing that you attach to your shoe, or that is attached to your shoe, that enables you to deliver the stone in a curling game.
Yeah.
Slide out.
You just slide right out. Another definition, though, Scott, for slider is a person walking home from the club at 1:30 after a 9 p.m. draw in January. Slider.
Yes. And our friend Megan can attest to that, having to navigate the ice on the sidewalks.
Yes. Yeah. I've only fallen once walking back from a curling game, but it was a doozy.
Oh, I fell down once last year.
Really? It's not good. I mean, it's better than trying to get into a car, for me at least.
Right.
So, I'll take it, but it's not that much fun.
Mine was just from the bus to my house, and I took a real bad fall, but all good.
So next up, Scott, I have the draw.
Draw. Yeah, a couple curling definitions here too. The draw is usually the schedule of events for either a bonspiel or a league is the draw. And it's also a kind of shot that you play when you want your stone to come to rest, usually somewhere in the house.
Yes. So the definition that I come up with, that this is the duct tape of curling terms.
Ah, because it can be used for everything.
It can do everything. Multiple uses, yeah.
I like this definition. It's my favorite one so far.
Thank you. Let's go next with a run back. The run back.
Ooh, the run back. I like these. When you typically when you hit a guard and attempt to cause the hit stone to go back and take out something in the house.
Yes. That's generally what it's used for. But Scott, in this era of social distancing, it's also your response when you're caught sneaking into the club while it's closed.
Hey, did you get your stuff from the club?
No, my stuff is still in my locker.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
I hope it
which
doesn't
is
stink.
it's gonna those locker rooms. I mean, they don't smell great anyway, curling club locker rooms. But if you're at a club where the club just closed and you didn't have a chance to take stuff out. Now I'm lucky or smart, I don't know. But like I always bring my shoes home so that they can properly air out. I bring most of my clothes back, but I leave a couple hats and belts in in the locker and a big sweatshirt. But the people who have, like the guy above me, who just like packs everything into his locker, which is annoying because I got to get my broom. They're like half lockers at the Ottawa Curling Club, so I got to get my broom up into his. It's really hard, but he has like 2 pairs of shoes, like 3 pairs of pants. It's just like stuffed on top of each other. Yeah, it's going to be just a mold infested, just terrible place.
Yowzers.
Yeah, it's not going to be good. It's not going to be good. Maybe we'll be able to get in there at some point over the summer though. Do a wash before September.
Here's hoping. Here's hoping.
Yeah. So Scott, the next one I have on my list here is the tuck delivery.
The tuck delivery. Real Manitoba special whereby the deliverer gets right up on their toe and gets as far their chest as far down towards the ice as they can.
Yeah, real specialty, the tuck delivery. I'm always impressed when I see one.
Yeah.
And I have to say, too, it's way more impressive in person than on TV. Like, it looks cool on TV, but to actually see it in person, you're like it feels like it doesn't make sense.
You're like, how are you so low? That's crazy.
Yeah. How is your chin not bloody from, like, scraping the ice?
Exactly.
Yeah, it's crazy. But another alternative definition, Scott, the tuck delivery in this era of social distancing, it's how the liquor will now be delivered to the club.
By the tuck.
By the tuck. You just sort of tuck it in.
Just tuck it in. Get it there.
Yeah. So I have one left, Scott.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully I've left the best one for the last one.
Let's find out.
Split.
Split.
Yeah.
All right. That's when there's a rock pretty close to the house, and you think you can get it into the house while rolling your shooter off and having that also get into the house.
Yes, that is accurate when you throw a split, Scott. But also, it's a term that we can use to describe your pants the first time in the hack after all the pandemic bread.
Yes, the pandemic bread and pandemic beer have not been kind to waistlines around the country, I'm sure.
No, this is why nobody can buy yeast. Apparently yeast is just out.
Yeah, no yeast available anywhere.
So those are some alternative definitions there that I just came up with as I was thinking about the words, because why not?
Because we're here. And we promised to put a show out every Wednesday. So there you go.
Hey, I had fun doing this.
Yeah, Sean, that was pretty fun. That was very creative.
It's entertaining for me. For nobody else, that's fine. But I had fun, damn it.
Hey, that's what matters. That's fine.
Yeah, I have a couple other questions that are related to terms, though.
All right, let's talk about them.
Okay, so the first one is the sweeping call. So there's a lot of different terms that people can use in a sweeping call. Some people say hurry. Some people use a yes or no. Some people say hard. Some people just say sweep or whoa.
Mm-hmm.
What is your preferred term for sweeping calls?
My preferred terms when I'm skipping is to yell, yep.
Yep.
I'll often start with yep, and then I do a hurry hard. Hurry.
Right.
Hurry. Yep. Hard. So those are the ones that I'll use for the most part.
And for a call of off, what do you like?
I tend to do whoa.
Okay.
Like a real to try and differentiate the sound, right? Because when I'm sweeping, the hardest part is when somebody says off, but they haven't been saying, they've been calling sweeping with a similar sound.
Yeah.
I can't think of one off the top of my head. But you know what I mean, right? When it sounds like, I think Megan does this sometimes where she says no,
right,
but I think she's yelling go.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest one. Whoa, go, no, go, like yeah.
So to differentiate them, I like to go with a whoa. So sometimes if I really need to be emphatic, I'll do a right off. But that's usually when the sweepers are closer to me.
Right, when you're angry, yeah.
Occasionally a never. And I like to put my arm out.
Yeah.
I like to do visual stuff, so.
Yeah, I'm a fan of the visual too, like hand up for no.
If I put my arm out to the side, that's usually indicating like hold off, don't sweep.
Yeah.
And then when I take it down, it's because I'll try to shake the broom too.
Yep.
Shake the broom head because I know I'm a little bit soft spoken, and if there's a lot of games going on, it's sometimes hard to hear me.
Yes. It's weird. Megan a couple weeks ago mentioned that you were a rage monster when you play, but you can also be surprisingly soft-spoken.
Yeah.
Sometimes at the same time.
Two sides to my personality.
It's weird. It's like a
pretty strange, eh?
Bruce Banner Hulk type thing.
A little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Another one that I was thinking about, Scott, where do you fall on the stone versus rock debate? What is the device that we are hurling down the ice?
I think I come on the side of stone more than rock.
Okay. Why is that?
Alliteration a little bit. You can say skip stone.
Instead
stones.
Skips rocks.
Yeah. I think I'll understand either way. But my preference is stone. What about, and stone to me is something that's a little more polished than a rock.
Right.
What's your preference?
I agree. I like stone too. I mean, obviously it's in the name of the show, which is helpful for us. But I prefer it as well. Rock. I don't like that hard sound at the end, that hard CK sound.
Right.
Sometimes it's really a useful sound, but in the case of curling, I just think it's as you say, it's not only just that the term stone, denotes a smoother surface, but it's a smooth sport, right? It's sliding down the ice. Unless gunner's throwing it, it's usually pretty gentle. And stone, I think, just gives it that feeling a little more effectively than the term rack.
I feel like stone is the more common term used in television broadcasts too.
Yes, I think so.
And that might be shaping sort of our preferences.
Yeah, and this is that question was 100% intended to throw shade at Rocks Across the Pond.
Okay.
And of course, I'm sure they will disagree with us strongly on that one. The other one, Scott, why is it called a sheet of ice? As
Good
opposed
question.
to like a lane. Like it's a bowling lane, but
Yeah.
it's a curling sheet. But essentially, they're the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I never thought about that before. But yeah, a lot of times you'll say, "Oh, I'm on sheet A," and somebody who's never heard of curling will say, like, "What the hell does that mean?"
Yeah.
That means nothing to me. And then you say, "Oh, it's kind of like a lane in bowling. It's sort of, if you have this many games going on, that's what they're called." But yeah, I don't know at all where it came from. Do you know?
No, I don't. It was just something that I was wondering because, like, do we need to have like a specialized term for that? I mean, I guess a lane in bowling, I guess, is different because there is like a divider between them, but some clubs have dividers too. Like if you're looking at like one piece of ice that is divided, I guess that whole piece of ice is a sheet. But then you have lanes within that big sheet of ice, right? Because a big piece of ice is a sheet, right? Like regardless of if it's like if you see it on like a field, that a natural bunch of ice is there, it's called a sheet.
A sheet of ice? I think so, yeah.
But when it's divided up for the sporting purposes, it's been divided up into lanes to play.
Right. Let me see.
So that
why
one I've always,
it's called a sheet.
So that one I've found, a little strange. I think
it must have started, Sean, as I'm reading Wikipedia, which is always right.
Place to go.
It doesn't say this, but what it seems to have evolved from was that most clubs were one sheet clubs, or it would be played like on a river or a natural body of water.
Okay, and that's the sheet.
And that's the sheet. And now we just have 4 sheets in one club, or 5 sheets, or however many.
Okay, so it's our inability to evolve our language to reflect the reality of the situation.
Yeah, I mean, in the grand scheme of language, curling has not been around that long, but yeah.
Yeah. And then just finally, Scott, what is your least favorite curling term
Of all the terms?
of all the terms? What's one that really
Well,
grinds your gears?
I talked to you about some of them during the Scotties.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, I really don't like when what was it that I said then? Do you remember?
Hair.
Hair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really don't like hair, and I really don't like fraction.
Yeah.
You know, hair has just been overdone, right? Can we agree on that?
I mean, for you and I who are bald, yes, hair is very much overdone.
It's overdone. Sean, I was looking at some pictures of us earlier today,
It's shocking.
which I'll talk about to you later. But yeah, at least you had hair.
Yeah, if you scroll back far enough in my personal Twitter feed, there's a picture from 2014 or 15 where my hair, I have like a full head of hair that's almost down to my shoulders.
Yeah, it's pretty long.
It's insane.
So yeah, as bald guys, we can say, hey, get hair out of the game. I think that would be my number one. Do you have a number one?
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the word pound.
Oh, just a pound more?
Yeah, just a pound more. Like, oh, they really pounded that one. Like
Hmm.
I've never been a big fan of that. It's just to include that in the curling lexicon. I'm not a fan, so I would get rid of pound as well.
Would you put substitute kilogram for it?
Yes, absolutely. I
Yeah.
would.
Okay.
Yes, we are metric in this country, and I will fight anybody on that.
So we should change the 12-foot, 8-foot, and 4-foot as well.
We should, yeah. Yeah. On
You
a
know what?
related note, I would also get rid of the number system. I know the Furby number system. I can't stand it.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I like it. As when you're yelling down to the skip, it's a lot easier to say a number versus tight. You know, it's just a little bit clearer.
Yeah, I guess. But
But
I always forget them because like that's how little I like it. That it's like when I grade stuff, I always have to look up the grading scheme of like what percentage turns into what letter grade because they make me grade in numbers and then change it to letters, and I'm like, why? And I always forget it because I care so little about it. But
yeah,
because like I know what the grade is in a number, like, and that's how you're making me do it. Why are you putting it? Anyway, it's the same with these numbers. Like I just and what's weird about it too, and I guess what actually prompted me to think about this whole thing of language, Scott, was when you spare with a team or when you start with a new team, it's so hard to understand the verbiage that different teams use. And that's even at the club level. That's not getting into the competitive teams who start to use terms like smooth. Like if you told me to throw smooth, I have no idea what that is. I don't think I've ever thrown a smooth rock in my entire life, right? So the idea of throwing smooth is I like it as a term. It sounds kind of cool, but I could never throw it. And that happens a lot, certainly at the club level where, you know, some teams use that number system, other teams don't. Control and normal is different for everybody. Like on Mondays when we play, Scott, control and normal are different from what control and normal are on Thursdays on the men's team. And
oh boy.
It's, you know, so these ideas of the verbiage and how it can be different when you're going from team to team and even club to club, it's so different everywhere you go. And that's really what prompted this, me thinking about this, was just how these words are actually used differently at different places.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why I like board and hack, because they're sort of like agreed upon, right? We all kind of know what that is.
Yeah.
But I remember one time I was playing in Vancouver and somebody told me that control weight should be the hardest you can throw it while still feeling like you're under control. And I was like, what? Like,
but that's different for everybody.
Yeah. And that would be like harder than normal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if you really wanted me to throw it as hard as I could while I still felt still felt in control,
Yeah.
I would throw peel weight. Like,
Right.
so yeah, everybody's got something different. One of my favorite weight terms or curling terms that I've heard in the last couple of years, Sarah Wark's team, when they were at the Scotties, would throw a weight that they called comfy.
Yes. Comfy was good.
Throw comfy weight. And I thought,
comfy.
oh, that's cute. Just comfy.
Yeah. I mean, I like that a lot more than when people are like 10.5, and then
Yeah.
and then they come down, they're like, ooh, yeah, sorry, that was a little late. It was a 10.7. I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah, the queen of that was
Oh, Kelly Scott.
Kelly Scott for
Kelly Scott,
sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
10
That's a
10 and a
9.8
half.
sash. 9.8 sash.
Yeah. Yeah. And then like Chelsea Carey kind of got in trouble doing that a little bit too much
Yeah.
in the Scotties there when she came back as Team Canada, I think.
Yeah, and they really tried to get off of it. I mean, they still use stopwatches, but they really tried to get off it and just be like a little harder, a little less. Like that's how they tried to word it to her.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
makes sense. She's so good. She has such good feel. Just go with the feel. And that's kind of how I feel too. I don't use a stopwatch anymore. I used to use a stopwatch, but for me, it's all about feel, and that gets me in trouble sometimes. But you know what? So does the stopwatch. So
Yeah.
I figure going from team to team, especially at the club level where people throw differently, just trying to be able to visualize it and get a sense of how fast it's going out of the person's hand. That's where the value is.
Exactly. That's at the club level, like you say, everybody throws different. Some people push a little bit, some people don't, some people dump it. It's all different. So like,
yeah. I do all those things
me,
on one shot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yes, you do. And so do I. And so that's why I think forget the stopwatches at the club level. Just go and have fun.
Yeah, so that's it, Sky. That's all the things I want to talk about in terms of language.
Pretty good, Sean. Nice, short and sweet today.
Yeah, fun little show there. If you have any alternative definitions for words, certainly hit us up with those. If you have anything that is in that pun category, that's my wheelhouse of stuff that I like. So if you have stuff like that, please do send it in, and also just let us know what terms you like, don't like, because this is something that, especially, during the Olympics, when non-curling fans start to watch curling in greater numbers, especially in the U.S., that you'll see it on social media a lot, some of the terms, people wondering what that is, and usually in a joking way, trying to sort of making fun of it.
Yeah, it's what the hell does hack mean?
Yeah, and we're like, oh, nobody knows.
Yeah, and so before we get out of here, Sean,
Yeah.
I got some listener feedback.
From
our YouTube games to watch.
Okay, great.
It's from a listener named S. Graham. No, that probably gives too much away. It's Steve G. So he said,
I believe he fact checked you.
Yeah. He said, so Don Duguid was a player and longtime color commentator alongside Don Whitman and Don Chevrier on CBC, but no baseball. Don Chevrier did curling through the 70s and also was a Blue Jays broadcaster.
Yeah.
So my question is, was it a prerequisite for your name to be Don in order to become a broadcaster in Canada in the 70s?
Well, as a historian of the CBC, I can say that was certainly a CBC prerequisite. I don't want to speak for other media organizations.
Holy cow, so many Dons. So my apologies for disparaging Don Duguid.
Yeah, you were dragging Don Duguid for no good reason.
And I think I've just got them all together in an amalgamation in my mind. They all bleed together, and then I had a bad experience with one of them at some point. I can't remember who though.
Yeah, so you just got on the wrong one. So we appreciate the fact checking as always.
Yeah. If I remember what I say for the most part, and I'm happy to be wrong.
Yes, if we're wrong, we certainly want to know about it in a respectful way. So that'll do it. If there's mistakes in this one that you want to correct us, you can always get in touch with us. Social media, that is Twitter and Instagram at Game of Stones Pod. There's the Facebook page too, Game of Stones Podcast, where there's the Facebook page for it too that you can like and get in touch with us that way. And of course, you can always email the show, Game of Stones Podcast @gmail.com. You can find Scott on Twitter, Instagram at Scott Lakes TV. I am at Dr. Shawnee Fever. And just another plug, Scott, today we did 1911, Aaron Boys and I on the bracket. Fun year for us. Every Wednesday, activehistory.ca, we're doing those as well. So up until only two more next year, 1912. And I got to say, 1912 powerhouse, total powerhouse year.
Titanic, right?
Yeah, Titanic is in there. We don't know who's going to win yet, but Titanic is a thing, but it has some stiff competition, let me just tell you.
Right on.
So that'll do it for this week. Please do subscribe to the show wherever it is you get your podcast. Do his likes, ratings, all that stuff. Helps other people find the show, keeps us going. So we'll be back with you again next week. But until then, keep those brooms on the ice and don't dump that intern.
Make the final.